Hey everybody, Nerdcoids once again. Time for another product review. As you'll see in the title, it's not about a particular instrument, but about a type of string. And funny thing about bass strings is that they really do affect the sound of the instrument quite a bit. Also affects the type of playing that you can do. As I'm a big Flatwound freak, I guess. Actually, a Flatwound freak. I've just discovered them and I realized that it's the type of bass sound that I like the most. It's the type that I look for in my compositions. And so, I have them on this here. Of course, on my Squire GHS Precision Flatwounds. And I love them. You've heard the tone. They're great strings. And I have them on my violin bass as well, the VB01. And I have to say that I'm not entirely impressed with the Diodarios that I did the original demo with. And my usual Flatwounds that I have on there, the Monel 77s from Rotosound. I think they're 40 to 96 gauge. Anyway, I go through the entire process of changing strings. I have a few clips coming up about that. I also decided to do a demonstration of the Monel Flatwounds and also the new strings that I bought, which I'll show you in clips coming up. But I've decided that I'm going to redo the second part, the one with the Rotosounds. Not the Rotosounds, sorry, the one with the GHS ones. And you'll see why. I'll explain it when we get to that part. Anyway, I'm trying to keep these videos shorter and get right more to the point and me less yapping. So enjoy the video. Now, when I originally did the video of this particular bass, it was with some Diodario Chromes 45 to 100s, which were a little big for this bass. What I have on here right now are Rotosound Monel 77 flatwound strings, 40 to 96 or 95, which fit this bass perfectly. The GHS Pressurewounds are the same gauge. I think actually it's 40 to 96, but it's pretty much the same thing. And I just want to make this video with these strings on here first, just to make a sound comparison. So I'm just going to play a little ditty here. This is without any amp simulation, everything full open, both pickups. So here we go. I'm going to do a quick muting with some foam. I use different types of foam to get different types of muting effects. This is cellulose foam, for those who are curious to know. Has a particular, actually has a nice way of muting stuff. I need to get a pick for this. Hold on a sec. See how it sounds like. I actually like these strings a lot, but I wanted to get something that had a little bit more brightness to it. And, a little crispiness. I was looking on a YouTube video of Dave Pomeroy, which is one of those famous Nashville bassist sessionists and all that, and he uses Pressurewounds, so just thought I'd give them a try. I really like the sound of them. Mind you, he had them on a P bass, so it's probably going to sound different than on here. All right, well, that's it for these Rotosounds. Next time you see it, these are going to be loaded up with the GHS Pressurewounds. All right, so anyway, I'm going to try and one-hand this. I'm just going to follow the advice of Dave Riome from Dave's World of Fun Stuff, who incidentally is right now feeling a bit under the weather, but it's always best to take only 1 or 2 strings off at a time, just so your bridge doesn't end up shifting. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. These are the Rotosounds. See if it'll focus up there. Anyway, that's what they look like. They're pretty smooth. As far as flatwound strings are concerned, they're pretty bright. And they're well broken in, so I do get a good sound out of them, but I'm going to try something different here. So anyway, and especially on a tailpiece like this too, it's very important not to take all the strings off at the same time. And I'm going to be putting these Pressurewounds on, as I mentioned in the early part. Kind of like the packaging. It's got a retro look at it. Anyway, next time you see this, they're going to be loaded on here. Okay, just to show you the contrast between the two, this one here is the Rotosound. Oh, I need to cut my fingernails. This is the Rotosound Monel 77 flatwound string, and the one above here is the new one, the GHS Pressurewound medium scale. They're the same. Well, actually, I think that the Pressurewound is maybe 0.01 millimeter wider than this one here, or I forget if it's in millimeters or in inches, I forget. But anyway, in any case, I think actually the Pressurewounds are slightly magnetic. I believe they're using alloy 52 or something like that, which is 52% nickel, 48% iron. From the description of the website, I think they might actually have, oh yes, right here. Description of the website, these are the 4 basic types of bass strings. That's the Flatwounds, which is essentially what the Monels are, although this is probably more reflective of the GHS Precision Flatwounds. The Bright Flats, which is the second one up, and I went for the Bright Flats, and this is probably closer to what the Rotosound one is like. And there are the Pressurewounds. If you've noticed that it's a little bit more grainy, although at the sort of oval shaped, and you have your garden variety round wounds right there. So I've heard demos of the Pressurewounds on a P bass, and they sound really great. They sound very balanced, so I'm hoping that's what it's going to do for my my violin bass here. Okay, well, halfway there so far. These are 32 to 33 inch scale strings that I got. Word of note to not all violin basses are the same. Mine, the body on mine is slightly elongated. When you think about getting some strings for a violin bass, you have to consider this part here behind the bridge. You have to include that there. That's usually about, 2 inches and all that. Even though this is a 30-inch scale bridge, from here to the nut, you have to consider the 2 or 3 inches that are in the back here. I know that regular 34-inch strings are just a little too long, although you could probably get away with putting them on here, especially if it's these types of strings, because one thing I've noticed compared to the Flatwounds, which you could see right here, will focus in. I won't focus in anyway. You can see that it sort of tapers off very quickly here, whereas here it's sort of more gradual. So just a word of thought. Anyway, let's get back to doing the rest of this bass, and then time for the audio demo. Hey everybody, well here we go again. I'm all set up now, and I'm going to do a demonstration of the GHS Pressurewound medium scale light gauge strings on my bass here. So I'm just gonna put the camera right here. Hopefully I got it centered properly. There we go. Oh, I have a little extra light. There we go. Hopefully that shows up pretty well. All right, so I had originally done a demonstration of this. I've already taped it, and I did the audio and whatnot, but I decided to do it again because I've discovered a few things about these strings, really nice discoveries about them. First of all, I'm sure you can hear that. They are rougher than round wound strings. They do have a certain texture to them. It's actually a pleasant feeling texture. It really is in the middle between a round wound and a flat wound. But what I like about it is that here I have everything, all the way up, and I have my usual setup of having it, just using a limiter at -6 dB. And so here's the pure tone of these strings. I'm just going to play a little ditty here. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, well, a little closer up to the what they call the dusty end, which is a nice feature about these particular violin basses, because this is like a 23 fret, and this bass guitar is so well put together, it actually remains in tune up here. Not every bass, especially a bass of how much I paid for this, you can get, decent sounding frets this high. And with these strings too, I've noticed that compared to the Flatwounds, the intonation was always a little off, and with these, it's okay, this one's a little flat, but what I like about this is that you have a great fundamental sound out of it. Get the fundamental note, and you get that little crispness that you normally would get with a round wound. But it's not overwhelming. That's the nice thing about it. And it's easy to dial out. Like, you can just take the tone off right now. But what I've discovered about these strings, even though they are kind of technically a round wound, when you take out the bridge pickup, you sort of get a sort of punchiness that's a lot like a P bass. Especially when you get to the lower notes like that. Even the D and G strings, they still keep their bit of tubbiness that you, yeah. They sound very full. Now, I haven't played these strings for very long. They're still stretching a little bit, so they do still come out of tune a little bit. But I have to say, right out of the box, you get this sound, and it sounds really great. But here's the thing. With a little bit of foam right here at the bridge, the usual old trick, these things really turn into bright flats. You get the muting. Let's see if I can get this done here. You get the muting, and you still get the nice crispness, at the top. And the punchiness, too. Now this is all finger style, so. Anyway, you get the picture. With the pick, can do something. I got about a minute left before the camera runs out, so. Anyway, you get the picture. These are great strings. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend them, I should say. Anyway,